What is up, my demons? The big bad devil daddy is back on the regular day and time. Thank you to those that joined me this past Tuesday with my interview with Sol Negre, if I'm saying that correctly, all the way from Spain. Definitely appreciate everybody that tuned in at 3 p.m., which is something I never do. I am a creature of the night. All right, but tonight I have a special treat. Hey, what's up, Kyler? Longtime viewer. Glad to have you with us again. It seems like it's been forever since I last flashed you Glenn Danzig's nipple. All right. Anywhoozle.
When you're not feeling so good, there's the lazy nipple. It's the lazy nipple song.
I am so sorry that we just had to scare our new guest. And it's a little joke we have with one of our viewers there, Kyler. I don't know anybody that wouldn't have their day brightened after seeing that. That even caught me off guard. Anywhoozle, man, we have an awesome, amazing indie actor and filmmaker with us tonight. And that is Joel D. Wynkoop. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. Wynkoop.
Like a bottle of wine. Yeah.
I am so sorry, sir.
No worries.
But he just had a new film drop called Phil Herman's The Dead Stories. No, I said that wrong. The Doomsday Stories. Son of a bitch. I am having a day. I am so sorry. But before we get to that, let's take a quick commercial break. Yep, exactly, Kyler. You know who's behind that. So blame him, not me. We're going to take a quick commercial break to one of our awesome sponsors at Villain Arts. Check it out. That's right. Reaper and Mischief will be coming to Kansas City in May for Villain Arts Tattoo Convention. It's going to be awesome. So if you missed us this past month, you'll definitely be able to catch us if you're in the Kansas City area. And we are back with Joel Wynkoop from the upcoming movie. Well, actually, it just came out, The Doomsday Stories. So
brought to you by Wendy's.
Not a sponsor. Just so y'all know.
Not yet.
And I guess for me, brought to you by Canadians' Finest. All right. So what a career you have had, sir. Let's just kind of take it all the way back. What made you want to get into acting or films in general, especially in the horror genre? But it kind of looks like you've done many genres. So let's just kind of explore that a little bit. You've played so many different roles.
Well, first, I got to say hi to Cody Tudor. So
Absolutely.
Hi, Cody Tudor. It started actually back 1966. I was always running around pretending to be Batman. My babysitter made me a Batman cape, and then I grew up on all the superheroes. And when I moved to Florida, I learned who Spider-Man was and the Fantastic Four, which I didn't know when I lived in Minnesota. And then I learned all these. Yeah, and then around 1974, my dad saw like I was interested in movie making, and he bought me a Super 8 camera. And he got the guy to throw in 2 rolls of film and a chain tripod, and got that. Started like shooting Super 8 movies. Shot some for my church. Then I shot some for school, and then I messed around with animation. Then I was watching The Kid Next Door for his parents, Tim Ritter, when he was about 8 years old, maybe. He brought over his dinosaur. He goes, here, Joel, if you want to borrow this dinosaur in your movie. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I took it. And then little years later, I did one with my nephew, Terry. He played Robin and Captain Marvel. And I shot all these superhero movies in my backyard, Superman and Robin and Captain Marvel. Awesome. And then Tim wanted to be in one, so I put him in as the bad guy, like Robin the Neighbor's House, which is really his house. And then my nephew comes out as Robin the Boy Wonder and tackles him and handcuffs him to the van and says bye-bye, and like he's fighting crime. And then we did a Super 8 movie. Steve Campbell and I, my next door neighbor, teamed up and continually doing Super 8 movies. I was doing some on my own and some with Steve, and we did this little thing on the Bionic Boy. And then we did another reel, and pretty soon we had an hour-long movie, and we called it The $8 Million Boy Meets the Invisible Transport Boy. And Steve's part was he could turn invisible, but he could also teleport. And my nephew Mark was the Bionic Boy. And I used a little SSP car that I threw a match on and it blew up. And then I had a little title card that I put on a wall, and it said, Officer Sprider's, a bomb went off in Officer Sprider's car. And then we cut to my nephew on the ground with his arm bent and like ketchup on his arm for the blood. And then I stole little scenes from the $6 Million Man when they're putting them back together. But yeah, that was kind of the start. And then in 1982, of course, I'm doing all these movies. Basically, in a nutshell, I moved away for 10 years. I saw an article my nephew did in the paper about Tim's Day of the Reaper. I called the number. I kind of rekindled a friendship with Tim. We got together that night, and we started planning Twisted Illusions. Well, Inner Forces was first, but we both decided we can't do that. Let's do something smaller, and that's when we put stories together and created Twisted Illusions. Not only the company, so.
Nice. So, that's pretty creative, using the technology of the time to try to, realize not just as a hobby, but actually into a career. Are you still with us?
I'm frozen.
I can still hear you, though.
Yeah, but okay, me, I don't mind. I don't.
Okay. Well, as we know, the 80s was like just an explosion of horror filmmaking on every level, whether or not it made it to the big screen or straight to VHS. You were talking about you did a film, let's see, prior to... Did you start out as a director or as an actor first?
Actor. What?
Okay.
Well, I directed my Super 8 stuff.
Right.
And then Tim came on.
All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break to our friends over at Poison Valley Clothing. All righty. If you are in the market for a good custom horror shirt of any type at all, you give them the ideas. They will make it over at Poison Valley Blue. Check them out on Facebook. All right. Let's see. Is the connection better? Try backing out and coming back in. Now, you got my big ass ugly face looking at y'all. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulty. He will be back shortly. Thomas, thank you for joining in the comment section there. I have to agree with you there, Kyler. Definitely a crazy backstory. So up to this point, he's been directing his own stuff, but professionally, apparently he started out as an actor. I think we got him back, and he's better than ever, just like the Bionic Man.
Tim loved that show. We would hear that coming out of his bedroom. He learned how to play it on his, I can't remember if it was a trumpet or trombone, but Steve would be in his house, I'd be in mine, and we'd hear, here we go. Ritter's at it again. Right after That's Star awesome. Wars craze, it was
Good thing they didn't come after you for copyright issues.
I know. Go arrest this 8-year-old.
Right.
Hey, Thomas, how are you?
All righty. So you said you moved away.
Yes.
It's been 10 years. So how did you find yourself in indie horror? And did you start with that first or a different type?
Well, I like Friday the 13th. I went after I'd lived in Florida. I went to see my brother in Minnesota, and he let me take his car so I could go see Friday the 13th at the cinema down there. So I always liked horror movies, and when see Friday the 13th and King Kong, the De Laurentiis one, of course, growing up on the original one, and then when after that 10 years that span that came back in '82. Tim and I started about doing Twisted Illusions, and we casted a bunch of actors. And Tim was like, I just don't know the guy I'm going to get to do Mike Strauber, because I really need someone that can really do a cool acting job. And he's got to scream and yell. And I told Tim, I said, what, like this? Truth or dare? Truth or dare? Tell me something else. Truth or dare? And Tim goes, man, you got to do it. And I go, you want me to do it? And he was like, yeah, man, you'll be cool. You got to do that. And I was like, okay, if you want, sure. I mean, I acted in the Super 8, so I thought that'd be great. But Tim actually got me to do it, so that was kind of cool.
Nice. Now, does your PC happen to have a regular microphone at all?
I don't.
Because we're getting some static on your end as you're talking, and I just want to make sure that everybody out in Three Witches Lands can hear you completely.
Mute stop. I know it's just got a plug-in for it, but I don't. And that goes to the cameras. The mic is in that camera, so I don't know if there's one on the computer. I've always used this one, so I don't know.
Gotcha. Are you on a laptop or a desktop?
A desktop.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, we will do the
Thomas,
best we can.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Sounds pretty good.
Can you people hear us?
Oh, no, they can definitely hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like I said, the way the audio's coming out, might have been kicked around. Maybe the cat played with it. I don't know.
No cats here.
Gotcha. Family pet, you never know. All right. So awesome. Yeah. Friday the 13th definitely put a spotlight on horror films in general. We got a taste of it from the 70s, and it was just very, very artsy, very explorative. But by the time the slasher, I don't know, I just like to call it the slasher era, really kind of jump-started so many different films. So what was your first role?
Well, besides the Super 8 stuff, put that aside. It would be in Twisted Illusions, because when Tim said you got to do Mike Strawber, because I did that Truth or Dare, that would be my first one. We went out to North Palm Beach and shot the scenes, and he goes, "This is when you're tearing your tongue out. This is when you rip your eye out." And I was like, "Oh, this sounds cool." And then this is where you're spitting the blood out. And he was pouring a bottle of blood in my mouth, and I kept going, more. And you pour a whole bottle in there. So when I threw up my tongue and threw up the blood, I wanted to be alive. So I was like, well, the tongue thing came out, and all the blood gushed out. And then I'm sitting there by myself, because then you find out nobody was with him. It was all in his head. I'm sitting there, and I held my tongue back, and my finger was bent back to show it was cut off, and then my hand was bent back to show it was cut off. And but yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And we thought, oh, we're the big time now. Wait till this movie comes out. And I'm like 200 movies later, and people are still going, "Who are you again?"
But obviously, though, people know your work, and that's awesome. Did going into that, were you just like, "I'll do whatever you want"?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I told Al Nicolosi that one time when we were going out to do Truth or Dare. I told him, "Whatever, man. I'll do whatever you want. Whatever makes it cool." So I remember him telling me, "Well, you're always saying you'd do anything." So I brought this cow tongue, stick that in your mouth, and it's freshly cut out of a cow or something. I'm going, "Al, I'm not going to stick a cow tongue in my mouth." And he's like, "Well, you're always saying that you'll do anything." I go, "Okay, within means." We settled for a beat. Tim brought a beat had cut in half. That was my tongue. But I was like, "Well, stick a cow tongue. You said you'd do anything." And I'm going, "Except that, okay?"
Yeah, you don't exactly want to get, food poisoning or whatever you could possibly get off of sticking that in your mouth.
Yeah.
But what a hell of a first role, though. My hat's off to you. So did you have any formal training as an actor, or you just kind of jumped into it?
Actually, I did. It wasn't like I went away to some big film school or something for acting. It was just my drama in high school. I had Mr. Martin's drama class, and I did state competitions. I almost won. The guy that did Bill Cosby, he beat me by a little bit. And I did Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and I had the television.
Classic.
Well, aside from Bozo the Clown back in '65, I was on the Bozo the Clown show. I got to pull his my TV thing would have been with high school.
Well, that just goes to show you the level of teaching back then, that they were able to give you. Yep, I know his mic keeps coming in and out. We're just kind of doing the best we can. Most of the time, he sounds like Beelzebub
shows
is
it's on, but
it's on. It just, for some reason, it starts distorting, and you have demonic voices, which that doesn't bother me in the least. But I could see my producer going.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not a tech wizard, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've had worse with people and their cell phones. Those have always been the toughest.
Oh.
So not a problem. Not a problem at all. So from there, after you played that role, obviously people took notice. So what was your next offering?
Well, the Monty Python gig on TV, a lot of people, because we went to McDonald's and they all recognized me the next day, because we didn't have internet. It was just television. But the next day,
exactly.
Were you on TV last night? So after that, I think that was high school. That was graduated in 79. So that was probably in 78, or it might have been 78, 79. Then that's I did for my Greek mythology class, I did a something with my brother, and I did stop motion where he's fighting a cyclops, and I also did a dinosaur thing on a train for school also. And that's about the time I was watching Tim in the summertime when his mom and dad were working. And that's when it moved us into, putting him in my movie. Well, that was before 82, because 82 was Tim and I got together to do Twisted Illusions. And after that is when Truth or Dare came out.
Yes.
Or we made the connection. We made Twisted Illusions. I sent it to Jeff Miller at Peerless Films. He got it. We talked on the phone. And I said, yeah, Tim and I were hoping you'd buy 10 copies of the VHS. And he goes, 10? I'm going to buy thousands of movies from you. So then
well,
Tim
that's
went,
awesome.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. But then Tim went to Chicago and met the storyboard guy, met some of the producers, Yale Wilson, and I think Al Nicolosi went with him. And then they signed a contract. And before you knew it, we were shooting Truth or Dare.
Nice. So, I have some indie actors that are, fresh and new that have come on, and, it's either they're constantly going to auditions and stuff. It's just kind of awesome to see the way you were able to transition from doing your Super 8 stuff and, making those connections. And to me, it's like not that much different from today. It's like you just got to network and, reach out to people and stuff. So that is something. And you've even done some TV stuff too, I see here. I mean, that's more in recent times, but what was the first role that you feel in the 80s really kind of like catapulted you out there?
Let's see. We Twisted Illusions, then Truth or Dare. Then I did Lost Faith. But I just kind of released that. Well, Tim and I got in our cars and drove all over the state of Florida and got these things in video stores. And then, Twisted Illusions.
That's a lot of hustle.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah. It's the Hawaiian Tropic guys started that way. Hawaiian Tropic, they put it in the trunks of their car and they drove it around until they got investors. And then, they could actually bottle it and market it. So Tim and I did that with, getting a distributor like Ron Bonk from Salt City Home Video. But until then, it was just us getting in our cars, putting it out there. So once, I got Lost Faith out there, we got Twisted Illusions. And Killing Spree was before Lost Faith. So we were getting that in the stores. And then people started knowing my, as an actor and a movie maker. I never see filmmaker because nobody shoots on film anymore. So I say movie maker. The newspaper articles,
so true.
The Palm Beach Post-Times, the Fort Pierce News, the Stewart News, all these local papers up in the Space Coast, up at just up and down the coast. I would get all these newspaper articles and stuff. Miami, Tim and I would do that. So it would get your name around like that, but there was no internet. So nothing's like it is now where you put it there and it's there a quarter of a second later. You had to wait for people to read the paper. Probably it didn't really take off until 95 when we got in Notes of the Underground in Fangoria magazine. And that's,
shit.
Yeah, when you're in Fangoria and we got a 6-page spread, everybody's reading about you that reads Fangoria, and then you're kind of respected. Oh, these guys are making movies, cool. And then Independent Video and Rue Morgue and all these other magazines that we were getting into. And then really, fast forwarding, when I moved to Tampa, it opened up a whole new world because I came over here and everybody in Tampa is a movie maker and everybody wanted to put me in their movies, which was great. There was Brainjacked and Dark Dimensions and, then hooking up with Doug Vader's doing stuff and John Lewis and Nick Cuddy and all these people. And Nick Cuddy, and he passed away about, I think 4 or 5 years ago, but he was the creator. He worked EC Comics. He was on Starship Troopers. He did Super Friends. He did a couple Spider-Man Daredevil stories. And it was so cool to work with him because I'm thinking, here's another guy like me. But as I worked with him more, he goes, well, I worked on Starship Troopers and I did EC Comics. I did E-Man. And I did the Spider-Man Daredevil story when Spidey lost his vision and Daredevil was trying to talk and trying to keep him from pan. I go, you wrote that? And he goes, yeah. And it was something too, because I was in the hospital with him, and the last night of his life, I said, he recognized me. I sat with him. I read him the Spider-Man story, and I read him a Superman story he liked, because he couldn't really communicate, but I knew he knew I was there. And then the next morning he passed away. So I was with him right before that. And that was really sad. But these are the people I was working with once I got over here. Then Jason Stevenson saw something on MySpace of all places. And he goes, I want, can you, well, Mr. Wynkoop, I'd like to have you in my movie Strip Club Slasher. Would you play the detective? We worked out a price. Next thing I know, I'm getting on a plane. I'm flying to Minnesota. I'm shooting in Minnesota. I'm shooting in Wisconsin. Then I'm with Cameron Scott. He calls me, hey, Joel Wynkoop, I'd like to put you in one of my movies. It's called, what was Cameron's? Oh, before Christian got me first for Body in a Dumpster in Iowa. Then I went to.
That's not far from me. I'm in Nebraska.
Oh, okay. And then I flew from, I came back home, and then I flew out to where Cameron Scott was for Postmortem America 2021. And then I was going to meet with Todd Sheets. This is later on in life with Clownado, up to Kentucky to be with Tim to work the Alien Agenda Part 3 series. And so I started moving around, flying around, doing these other movie makers productions. And then, of course, hitting a lot of the convention sites, and most of them locally, and I don't expect anybody, because it's not like a Tom Cruise or something, but like I could do Fangoria, I could do all these shows, but I was always like, will you fly me up there and get me in the hotel? Oh, no, you drive here, you get a table. But I didn't want to, I got so many movies now. If I did, I'd be, packing all the movies up like I do now for shows, which I could, but then it's the drive, and I'm kind of like, and I could do it because I retired myself from Crystal Water in 2008. So I'm available to do all kinds of stuff. It's just if I want to, and a lot of productions where I used to be, like in the old days, I'd take anything. Now I'm more like, nah, I just don't feel like doing that. Too lazy. I got a convention since COVID that I haven't done. And he always calls me, and I go, honestly, buddy, I think I'm just too lazy. I got to pack the car. I got to drive down there. I got to go through the town with the van. I got to go through traffic. I got to park. Then I got to get my stuff down there. And then I'm outside. If it rains, I got all these movies to pack up. And I go, I said, I really appreciate it, man. I just don't have it in me no more. So I'm kind of lazy.
I mean, it seems like more and more cons, especially out here in the Midwest, there's, the Midwest horror con's a big one. They're all over the place. And I think you would probably do very well. You're creating demand, obviously, because the more, productions you do in the movies, I think you do very well there.
Well, Sean Donahue and Chris Woods, when they came over to our house and shot my wife Kathy and they came over to our house and shot us for their documentary Blood, Guts, and Sunshine. Sean and Chris agreed. They go, and I'm trying to Cinema Wasteland. They go, Joel, you should go. You would clean up there. That would be your convention, because if you showed up at Cinema Wasteland, all these people would be like coming right to your table. Of that one, actually. Yeah, so that'd be cool. So I said, maybe someday, again,
you should do it.
I've done long distance. I drove a truck for, 40 years, 20 years for Crystal Water, 7 years for Dave Rothrock Moving, another 10 years for FEC News. So I don't mind that. But so if I know ahead of time and I pack up my car and I say, yeah, let me do this. And of course there's an invite, they're like, we really want you to come. I would pack the car and drive. I just got to plot it out where it's at. But I haven't driven like from here to New York, but at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, we went there for our family reunion. Places like that. And I think we went somewhere where I remember calling Kathy Ritter and Tim Ritter, and they're going, if you just get on the whatever highway, you'll be here in an hour and a half. And I was like, oh, we should do that. But we didn't have the time to do it at that point where we were at. So, at one point, maybe we'll do that. We'll just take that long. I'd rather jump on a plane, but sometimes it's neat driving too. You kind of see in the countryside, I guess, like vacation.
That's kind of how I see it, because I'm doing some conventions now also, and
cool.
Hope to get more out into the horror cons, but we do a lot of tattoo conventions. Some of them are long drives, but in a way they're kind of fun.
And worth it when you get there.
Oh, very worth it once
Yeah.
you get there. And then it's like, oh shit, I gotta go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I feel it, man. You know, and seems like you've done like a lot of kind of like creature feature styles. Just I don't know. And we had just a bunch of different roles you've done. We had a question for you. Kyler says, he says, I have to ask this of everyone. What is your favorite scary movie and what started it all? And I think he's referring to that one film that horror wise that inspired you to become an indie horror actor. Hopefully I got that right, Kyler.
Let me think. Let's see. Loved Evil Dead. Dawn of the Dead would have to be number one, because when it came out, I saw it at the Village Green movie theater in West Palm Beach. And then right away, we always had the, I forget how they called it, but it was the AMC movie train, midnight movies. Because every Friday and Saturday, my friends and I were at the midnight movies. So one of them, we went to Dawn of the Dead every Friday night, like people went to Rocky Horror Picture Show every Friday night. So, Dawn of the Dead was great to me. I love the humor, you love the zombies. And then, of course, when Evil Dead came out, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Which graduated into like RoboCop was one of my favorite movies, which is in a horror in itself when he's being blown apart. Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely Dawn of the Dead would have to be number one, and still is for me today, because I could still put that in and go, this movie's awesome. When people go like, well, you can see the paint lines or the blood's bright red, that's what makes the movie, man. People go, oh, it should be the blood should be a better red color. Really? Because when you're dead, your blood's not red, it's black. But that would be boring. That's why they make it red.
Yeah, I always kind of poke fun at people that, have never seen some of the great 80s horror films,
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, I saw the remake and it was just so good. I'm like, oh, did you see the original? Well, no. I'm like,
I asked the guy one time, my wife and I were coming out of the remake, or not, I won't even say a remake of Dawn of the Dead. It was just another version of Dawn of the Dead. And the movie got over, and the guy gets up with the girlfriend, and we're all walking out. And I'll do this. I'll just start talking to you. People are like, why is that guy talking to me? He doesn't know me. And I said, I go, how'd you like the movie, man? He goes, oh, it was pretty good. I really loved it. I go, what'd you think of the original? He goes, what? And I go, what did you think of the original movie? What do you mean the original? I go, are you telling me you never heard of George Romero's Dawn of the Dead? No, what is that? And I go, what is that? You go to your video store right now and you go find Dawn of the Dead and rent it. Okay, don't yell at me. I'm an adult. So, yeah.
Well, shame on them for not knowing.
Dawn of the Dead? Or even today, I think we were talking to somebody when I'm working Hall Scream. I think it was my wife said that. She goes, you got to watch, oh, yeah, that's like in Jaws. And the other person was, Jaws, what's that? And she goes, you never seen Jaws? It's about a shark. And the girl goes, oh, that. No, I never heard of it. So she sees it and she comes back the next day. She goes, watch it. It was fake. It was 19, whatever for Jaws, 70, whatever, 80 or 78 or whatever. And so people are so mind bent with their perception of movie making. That's like saying, well, Gone with the Wind wasn't very good, and whatever. It's whatever. It is cool. It's not my standout movie, but that's a movie when all those people in the background, that wasn't a green screen or anything like that. That was the actual people. They found 1,200 people are laying there dead on the ground and stuff. It's not CGI or whatever.
So I take it, obviously, you're a big fan as well as I am of practical effects, stuff that appears to be way more realistic than any of this computer shit. It's just, I don't know. For me, more practical effects makes a better film. Would you agree?
I'll go both, because I just watched something the other night, and you could clearly tell it was CGI blood. It was called Blood and Gore or something like that. And it was really cool, but they didn't use. Well, no, there was some practical effects because they take an axe and they hit the guy in the jaw and it cuts through his jaw, and then you see the bottom of his jaw just fall off, and then his head is stuck on the axe. So that was practical effects, but a lot of the blood was CGI. I don't care. You show me a movie, and I've used CGI stuff because in my wife plays the hero in Dead End, and she comes down with the knife on the guy's eye, and we didn't do a practical effect because I didn't have a lot of time to shoot this movie. And a lot of times you'll have an effects guy there, and the effects guy will be like, well, I'm going to be another 9 hours on this effect. And I'm going, 9 hours? I got 9 hours to shoot this. And I got to have this thing shot in an hour and a half. 9 hours? That my wife just texted me. That movie was called with this Greed and Gore, and it was freaking awesome. Because my movie 187 times played at the same film festival. But yeah, like in Dead End, we had CGI because that is the thing. That's the same with the lighting guy. I've been on sets or the lighting guy walks around in circles. Well, there's a little bit of reflection from this light. And if we get this light over here down, bring that down, Harry, bring it down. Okay, John, stop. Now bring the light up over here. And meanwhile, 7 hours have gone by and they're still trying to light it. And I'm going, shoot the fucking thing. What are you guys doing? So on mine, and I don't give a crap enough because I just said this in a thing I'm releasing called Doomsday Stories, Cast and Crew Confidential. One of the things I say in that is I don't care that much. And what I mean by that is I'll make a movie. I'll do it very fast and I'll get it out really quick. And I don't give a shit. I mean, I don't care that much because no matter what I do in the movie, somebody's out there going, it wasn't good enough. The continuity was off and the sound levels dropped. And there was a red shoe in the background. They should have moved that shoe. It should not be in the shot. Why is that red shoe in the shot? And I'm like, give me $250,000, the biggest, awesome, most camera in the world. I will shoot you something awesome. Somebody will put it together in Hollywood. It'll be the greatest thing ever. And somebody will still be out there going, I don't care for that. I didn't think the girl should have been blonde instead of brunette because I don't like blonde girls. That Wynkoop sucks. Why didn't he use a brunette? So I'm like, why am I trying so hard? You know, we had what something came out and the guy said, well, I like a movie. I didn't like this because it doesn't have a menu screen. And I'm going, what? What does that have to do with the whole integrity of the movie? Who gives a shit about a menu screen? So the next movie, Doomsday Stories, I take the time, I build an entire menu screen, and the same guy goes, there wasn't enough stuff on the menu. And I'm like, nobody can be pleased with anything you do. So why?
No, well, that's very true.
Do it for yourself. No matter if you're doing your podcast, if a guy's fishing for trout, don't worry about whatever. You shouldn't cast to the right. You should always cast to your left. The trout will know the difference. Really?
I honestly think that, today's movie viewers, they're always looking for, those type of mistakes. I remember just kind of growing up, my parents would always say, that's film mistake. It was in that shot.
Yep.
And then 5 seconds later, it's not there. It's like, well,
remember,
it happens.
It's not real life. There wasn't a camera there really recording what was really happening. Guess what? It's a movie and people put it together. That's why. Then they say that. I'll do a movie. I'll do my best with continuity. And then sometimes I don't give a shit. What do I care for? We were watching the Winchesters because we're still trying to get into it, but they put Dean back into it from Supernatural. So that kind of hooked us back in to see Dean in there. Because the Winchester thing, I don't really care about their characters. But when they show Dean and I go, Dean's going to be in it? Now I'll watch it. They had a
he's
shot.
Just a great actor.
Well,
period.
Yeah. But this girl was right next to the other guy, and I don't know him well enough to say their names, but right next to her in the close-up. And then they cut to a wide shot. They're on two separate sides of the house. Then they came back to the close-up, and they're back together. And they're not putting out $3,000 like me. They're putting out like $250,000 to do a TV show, and they can't even get it right. So screw you if I can't get it right. Neither can Hollywood. Go bitch at them. Call up the studio at Winchester and go, I'm very mad. Mary was next to blah, blah. In the wide shot, Mary was across the room. And then in the medium shot, they were back together again. Screw you. Go bitch at Hollywood. Leave me alone. Nobody cares. If Hollywood does it, it's okay. If I do it, I'm going to get your ass for that.
Oh, no, I guarantee you there's somebody bitching somewhere. There is a question from the comments section from Thomas. Glad to have you, Thomas. He says, you've played many, many characters throughout all of your many films. What is your all-time favorite character you've ever played?
I'd have to say my two, and it's on both genres. Angus Lynch from Creep, which I really like doing, and a lot. Tim even told me, he goes, that's not what I wanted for the scene, but you were having so much fun, I had to let you go. And then
well, you gotta like what you do, you know.
There was a scene where Angus was ripping off the pawn shop, and I stuck my head through the window where they keep all the gold. And I'm looking at the guy out the window pounding on, and I'm robbing the place. So I look at him like, and then I go, we're fucking closed. And Tim told me, he goes, I think Tim meant he didn't want me to stick my head into the joke, but I thought it would be funny. And it's in the movie, and people say it's funny. So it got left in. And then, of course, Steve Nakota is very close to my heart because, my confirmation with God, because my dad was a minister. And if I could tell a story about God, I'll put it in a movie, and that was Lost Faith. And then we followed it up 20 years later with Nakota, which is all in the all-new release from Vinegar Syndrome. The Lost Faith has Nakota on it. And a lot of my other movies and Super 8 stuff and behind the scenes and all that. So I think those two characters, Nakota and then Creep, Angus Lynch from Creep. And I like the character I portrayed is James Kirk in 187 times. But like I like all my characters, but I like these better than I might like Lewis from Dark Dimensions. Or I like Dan Hess. I've done Dan Hess in like 9 or 10 movies now. People want that character in their movies. But I think the top ones have to be Angus and Steve Nakota, I would say. Were my most fun, I think, to do.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about your the Doomsday Stories. So, there's been so many films about, some kind of infection or something like that wipes out or starts to wipe out mankind and stuff. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what it's about?
Well, before I got to Doomsday Stories, when COVID came, they were like on the news going, this is how I saw it. They were like, stay in your homes. Don't go anywhere. We'll blow your friggin' heads off. So I told my wife, I go, is the news telling me I can't go downtown Tampa? She goes, baby, it's not that. She goes, they just don't want you going down and mingling with your friends and causing more traffic and blah, blah. And I
What's
go,
happening,
I'm going to go out. Yeah. I said, they're not telling me I can't go outside. I'm going to go out my front porch and make a whole movie on my front porch. And it was the stupidity. I shot some scenes with myself. Then I spun the camera around and had my wife shoot me from the other side. She goes, what are you doing? And I said, just something stupid. I don't know. And then I called Phil and I go, you want to do something stupid with me? And he goes, sure. So he shot some scenes and I called Sean C. Phillips and I go, hey, you want to do something stupid with me? Yeah. So we shot this stupid dialogue and I started cutting it together. And even my wife, I go, hey, would you like to be in this movie? And she goes, no way. That's stupid. So as I'm building it, I'm bringing in these other filmmakers and I'm making a cohesive story now. And all of a sudden, my wife's there behind me going, can I be in this movie? I go, you didn't want to be in it. Now I do. Because it started to come together and it became the Craiglon Incident. And then I did a sequel, the Craiglon Incident 2 Aftermath, and then the Craiglon Incident 3 Annihilation. I did it all through COVID. There 3. And it makes me mad because I saw guys on television going, and they're talking to the news anchors, and the news anchors are all like, well, tell us about your little 6-minute movie you made during COVID. We're very excited about that and want to hear all about it. You're a big star. And I'm going, 6 minutes? I did a 6-hour, 2-hour feature, 2-hour feature, 2-hour feature. Why aren't you news crews beating down my door? I'm the guy that did it first. And so on the heels of that, and then And then Phil was calling me, go, we got to get Doomsday Stories, or we got to get Horror Tales 2 done. I go, would you leave me alone? I'm trying to finish Craigline Incident. And then I'm working on Craigline Incident 2 and Horror Tales 2. And then I'm starting Annihilation, Craigline Incident 3. And we're starting Horror Tales 3. And I'm trying to get them. And I finally manipulate them and get 3s done.
That's
now,
a lot to get done at once.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's because they're right on that. I finished Craigline and I'm doing Horror Tales 2. And then we're doing Horror Tales 3. I mean, not me. I'm just editing, but Phil's
right.
contributing. I'm contributing. Other film, Marcello Fabani, he's contributing. Other people, Derek Brosh, he's contributing. So we got all these filmmakers coming in. So now Craigline's out, Horror Tales is out, and Phil says, all of a sudden it pops up on Facebook. I don't even remember if we talked about it or it just popped up and it goes, Phil Herman's Doomsday Stories. And it's funny you bring that up because that's what Confidential is, what I'm working on now, kind of a behind the scenes. And I told Phil, I said, what's Doomsday? He goes, that's the next, we got to do this. It'll be short stories about Doomsday and the apocalypse. And I go, oh, cool. And I said, all right.
Very marketable,
Yeah. And then that's when I had a.
Isn't that great? The public wants to see the world die.
Yeah. Well, it's safer to see it than to live through it. So let's make a movie about it and not live through it.
Why the hell not?
Have missiles, missiles head for New York. Film at 11. Let's not have that. Let's just do it in the movies. So, and I told him too. I said, why don't you call it? Because I wanted to get away from blah blah stories, blah blah stories, blah blah tales, blah blah. I said, why don't you call it Doomsday Plus 2? Because there's a comic book called Doomsday Plus 1. He goes, no, it's Doomsday Stories. And I go, okay, whatever. So then, as I'm finding out about it, I took one of my old scripts called 187 Times. I'd written one version, then I wrote another version. And then I wrote this third one for him for Doomsday Stories. And what the neat thing was, though, that Phil didn't know what I was doing. I kind of told him, I said, I can't even tell you, man. It's a surprise. And finally, I broke down and said, this is what I'm doing. And he was like, I can't believe you're putting all that work into it. I took my story, incorporated it with one of his characters from one of his movies called The Wrong Side of Town from 35 years ago. Made that movie connect with my 187 times, then took his movie Hell on Earth, Arena of Death, some 32 years ago, and I incorporated that with 187 times. So when you're seeing 187 times, I'm talking about Hell on Earth, Arena of Death with Zorak, and you're seeing the meanies and what happened in his movie. But then I'm taking his character in my movie 187 times, which is in Doomsday Stories. I'm taking his character from 35 years ago, from the wrong side of town, making him all grown up and put him into 187 times. And then my character's going back in time, trying to fix the timeline. He's trying to stop the virus. He's trying to save his wife. And every time he does it, there's a butterfly effect. When he gets back, something else is screwed up. So he has to go back and he tries to save his wife like 3 times. She keeps getting killed. No matter what he does, something changes and he can't save her. So, and then in the movie version, which is 90 minutes long, you see all the stuff that got left out of the short and got left out of Doomsday Stories, but you see more of Phil's character who's Chad Bradster from Wrong Side of Town, and you're seeing the Zorak character from Hell on Earth, Arena of Death. So it's really pulls all these elements together and makes a real cool timeline of one movie converged with 2 more movies. It's like crossing Star Trek with Star Wars with Superman or something like that, That's
kind of cool, though.
Yeah. So
makes it more like an anthology.
Yeah. And like Phil told me, he goes, the other guys just mentioned meanies, but you went so far more into depth of everything. But Debbie D did Bomb Shelters, Marcello Fabani did Forever Man, and Phil did the wraparound Zorak story, and Derek Brash did A Broken Promise. But they all touched on the virus, at least the virus, and some little meanie talk. I just went the extra way to show the meanies and show the meanies from the story from 35 years ago, and tried to make a big, huge, cohesive this lapse in time, across the dimensions. And that's what made it really fun. I mean, when they played at the festival, one of the guys that he also makes movies. In fact, a funny story about him. We were on the set. He was shooting my movie Nakota, and he comes over to me and he goes, "Well, I I don't know what we're doing, Joel, but I have to be gone here at 10 o'clock tonight. I've got patients in the morning. And I go, wait a minute, back a truck up. What the fuck do you mean you got patients in the morning? He goes, I'm a cardiologist. I go, get the fuck out of here. He goes, no, really, I'm a cardiologist. I go, you're a heart doctor? Yeah, yes, I am. I go, what are you doing with a bunch of bozos like us? He goes, I like to make movies. So it was funny. And that night is the same night my buddy, and he knows I mean well by this, Marcus Kempton was directing Nakota. And we were running out of time. And my wife said, Joel, you're never going to get done. He's got to leave. He's got to leave. He's got to leave. And we're not going to get done for 4 hours. So I just politely told Marcus, look, I'm taking over, man. Step aside. Now it's my rules. And I just moved in and started to move the camera. I go, get that camera in the guy's face. And Warner would be like, well, I don't think that's correct. Get that camera in his face. We're going to finish this movie. And he moved the camera in, and then the actor would be like stumbling over his lines. And I look, just repeat after me. And I learned this all from Tim Ritter when we were doing Creep. I would say the line, actor says the line. I give him the break or get all this out. So when we go to edit it, I'm not popping around on it. And we knocked it out. And I remember Warner coming to me later, and he goes, I don't know how you got all that done, but I got up at 10 o'clock. So I was happy. But we shot like 36 scenes in one day. Damn. And that's important. When we did 187 times, we were there from 7 in the morning to 11:30 at night. And the person that runs the place, she even told me, she goes, I have a lot of people come here and use the studio, including the big Hollywood execs come down here for their NBC shows and 2020 and Forensic Files and all that bullshit. She goes, I never seen anybody work as hard as you do to go through,
isn't that
26 scenes or something that I just went from one to the other. And it was bad because it got my friend Phil mad at me. He's like, you knew you were going to make this a movie. And I go, no, I didn't. I was trying to make a 20-minute movie. No, you weren't. And I go, yes, I was. Maybe I overthought it, but I went into that studio and my head went crazy. I go, I'm going to use every set in here. I'm going to use the police room. I'm using the hospital bed. I'm using the bar. I'm using the restaurant. I'm using the tall line. I'm using the interrogation room. I'm using the alleyway. I'm using this one, the talk show room, the weight room. I'm using all these scenes. And that's how I wrote my script around it. And I thought I could get it all in 20 minutes. And I found out I really couldn't. I didn't plan to do a movie. I didn't want to do a movie. I just wanted to do it short. But when I put it all together, I told Phil, I go, it's 51 minutes long. I knew you were going to do that. And I go, I'm sorry. I thought I could get it into 20 minutes. So I got 51 minutes all the way down to 27 minutes. But then I cut out 6 actors. And that, to me, it's not fair to me because I paid them all to be there. It's not fair to them because then they get cut out of the movie. And that is why I created a movie out of 187 times. The short is 27 minutes. The feature will be 90 minutes. Not because I want to make a movie, because I got a heart and I don't want to cut these people out and hurt their feelings. And at the same time, I think it'll be a cool story. And there's a lot of stuff in the movie version that wouldn't make it in the short because the scenes were too long. There's a lot of talk between me and the ASTA device, which is artificial intelligence space-time displacement array. I made that up for the movie. And me and the AI go back and forth talking in the watch, and we argue with each other. Like Deathlock used to argue with this computer that was melded into his back. He would say, the computer would say something, and Deathlock would go, computer? And the computer would say, yes. And he would say, shut the hell up. That's how ASTA and I are. We argue about stuff. And that got cut out of the short because I didn't have room for it, because I was supposed to make it 15, but so was Derek. He was supposed to make his 15 too, and he didn't. And I didn't make mine. Now, I don't think either one of us tried. It's just when you start writing and shooting and editing, you're like, oh, it's a 10-minute movie. You get done editing and you go, shit, what happened? It's 90 minutes. What happened? So all in all, it came out cool because now I have a short. I don't let my actors down. I tell a little bit more of my story, which I couldn't do in the short. Now I can in the full feature. And we have this thing for Doomsday. So all in all, it works out great,
So where can our viewers check this out at?
If they want to, well, first of all, if you want to get a copy of any of my movies, I got my distributors. We got Ron Bonk at SRS. I got Darren at Brain Damage. And I got the guys at I can't even remember them now, but I've got 6-7 distributors that have different movies of mine. I prefer you just come to me. Just hit me up on Facebook under my name, Joel D. Wynkoop. I've only got one Joel D. Wynkoop.
What's up, John?
Just hit me and say, hey, man, I want to get Doomsday Stories, or I want to get Creep. I want to get Truth or Dare. I want to get Killing Spree, Wicked Games, Craze. I want to get your TV show, The Other Side. Whatever you want, I have here at my house. Also, same thing for
That's
Phil.
Convenient.
Phil's got all his movies. You want to get Doomsday Stories? Get it from Phil. You want to get Wrong Side of the Town, Arena of Death, Hell on Earth, Jacker 2, Jacker, A Burglar from Hell, all of Phil's movies. So get in touch with Phil or get in touch with me. And Phil's got his distributors too. But Phil and I both would appreciate it if you just got the movies from us. And I think Phil does the same thing I do. If I get an order tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, it's out in the mail by 11 or 12 when I get up. So you're probably going to get it in 4 days. A lot of distributors are like, I'll get it out Friday, 2 weeks from now or something.
For sure.
And because they can't, I understand that they've got, all these orders coming in. Me and Phil, we get an order, but to me, it's very important. I just got a girl 2 days ago, Cheryl Mack. She wanted 3 movies from me, and I will go, you'll have these in 4 days. And I mail them. I get the order that morning. I got them out in the mail same day. She'll have them in 4 days, opposed to a lot of places like, and nothing, whatever, sometimes you have to wait, or that's the way it's set up. But I got something from somebody, and the orders aren't ready to go out till May, and I bought it 2 months ago. So I kind of like to spend my money and get my movie. I don't want to spend my money and 5 months later I get the movie. I'll forget about it. You'll have my money and I'll forget. So it's important to me. You buy a movie, I want the movie. I bought this. I want the movie in 4 days. Well, it'll be there in about 3 weeks. 3 weeks? That's too long to wait, man. So give me the order. Give Phil the order. We'll get it right out in the mail to you. No matter what you want. Just
awesome.
For friend request us. Let us know, hey, I heard about you on the show, on Reapers Underground. I want to get a couple of these movies. What do I got to do? And then I'll respond back to you immediately. Hey, here's what I got. This is what I do. Send it this way. Give me your address. I'll mail it right out.
Well, there you have it. You have heard it here on Reapers Underground on how to get any of some of these great films that he has done. So we're in the last segment there. Oh, that's awesome, Thomas. Great to know. Definitely quick to ship. All right. So with some of the new fans you've made tonight, as well as the fans you already have, what would you like to leave them with?
Well, first of all, I say no fans. Tom Cruise has fans. I don't have any fans. I just got people. I got people that like my work. I don't have any fans. Maybe the fan above my head that's spinning. That's it. I just have friends of Wynkoop, people that like my movies. Hell, you can hate my movies. I don't care. Like my movies, hate my movies, whatever. I would just tell them thank you, because I know I do have a lot of people out there that they like Creep, they like The Other Side, my TV show, they like Craze, they like Truth or Dare, Killing Spree, Wicked Games, Clownado, and pretty much all these ones that I'm either a star in or make an appearance in. People will write me, and because I'll ask them, I'll say,
that's awesome.
Nice to hear from you. I got your friend requested. How did you hear about me? And a lot of them are like, are you kidding? I saw you in Creep. Or I saw you in Dirty Cop, No Donut. We were in a McDonald's once going to, my wife and I both did Hall Scream at the time. She's a stage manager now. I'm still an actor there. But we were waiting in line at McDonald's and to go over to Hall Scream. And a guy kind of turned to me. I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and then he turned away. And I told Kathy, I go, I think this guy recognized us from Howell Scream, across the street in Busch Gardens. All of a sudden, the guy turns to me and he goes, excuse me, sir. And I look, and we're in line to get food. And I go, yeah. And he goes, I'm sorry, but are you in a movie called Dirty Cop, No Donut? And I go, did you like it? And he goes, oh, it's my favorite movie. Is it you? And I go, yeah. He goes, I knew it. Dirty Cop, No Donut. Right here in McDonald's, everybody. Hear me? Can you sign my receipt?
That's awesome.
Those are the awesome.
That's what makes it all worth it.
Yes. And then you're like, cool. I'm glad I did that movie, and it's happened with Creep. I walked in, I had a shirt on. It was black and white. It had me and my boy David on it. It said Creeps 2, the sequel. It was just a joke mock-up thing. And the guy saw my Suncoast Motion Picture in the mall, Palm Beach Mall, and I'm walking into a store, And he looks at my shirt and he goes, Creep, that's my favorite movie. And then he looks up at my face and he goes, you're the Creep. The Creep is in my store. And he went out into the big area of the Palm Beach Mall and he started, everybody come to my store. The Creep is in my store. Everybody come in here, meet the Creep. And that's amazing, man. You don't even know
that
this
is amazing.
guy.
I mean,
and then he's
nothing humbles you more than
the
that.
Creep. You know? Those stories they're far between. But I told Jason LaCory that we were going to one of his shoots all wrapped up, and we were talking about people might recognize us. And I go, they're 1 in a million, Jason. I said, you know, that last story, whatever the story I was telling him, I go, it'll never happen again for like 5 years. I open the car door, get out, and some actor I've never seen before gets up and goes, Joel Wynkoop's here from Killing Spree. And I look at Jason, he goes, I thought you just told me nobody would. I go, I don't know this guy. So
you see,
it's
I mean,
cool
you can't
to
pay
that
for
happen.
that, you know?
Huh? Yeah.
It just happens. You don't know when it's going to hit.
Yeah, I'm in my suit and tie. I was downtown picking up my wife at Verizon. I get out of the car. A guy from across the street. He goes, Mr. Wynkoop. And I look and I go, hello. And I don't know who this guy is. I watch your show all the time. Can I get your autograph? Would you come meet my wife? And this is awesome. I was in Publix. We're getting groceries. A guy comes up, Joel Wynkoop show. How you doing? Because it was running on television all the time. So those are the great moments. Those are your Tom Cruise, Denzel Washington, stories. Although those guys are like, that wasn't me in that movie way back for 10 cents. Me, I'm proud of my heritage. If I were to make it tomorrow and be on Star Trek, like a good friend of ours is on Picard right now. I can't remember her name, but for me to be on Star Trek would be awesome. And if the places came to me and go, oh, you're on Star Trek Picard, you're a big star. How about those? Are you going to deny those stupid little movies you did back in the 80s? Hell no, I'm proud of those stupid little movies I did back in the 80s. Twisted Illusions was great. A lot of fun. I'm not going to deny that. A lot of these big stars, they deny that stuff. They go, no, that wasn't me. That was someone that looked like me. Yeah.
Wow.
We believe that, Denzel. Yeah.
Well, man, it has been a blast for sure. Definitely glad to have you on the show. Those of you out there in Three Witches Land, if you've, been an aspiring actor, actress, definitely, don't stop trying to break through. Do what you do. Anything that you can do to, get into the films, even if it's just a bit part, eventually you will get to the level that you want to get at. And it's just been awesome hearing about the stories that you've had over your career and all the work that you've done, man. Keep doing what you're doing. People love it. They surely do.
Every time, Reaper, thank you. Every time I'll get mad at the universe or whatever, and I'm like, I'm going to quit. I'll get something on my Facebook. One, like I said, how'd you hear about me? And they'll go, man, I saw you in Dirty Cop. Don't ever stop. You entertain me. I love your movies. When you're in the movie, I keep, if you're doing something like leisurely or like, well, I think I should tell the doctors that I'm waiting for you to explode all over the set with, no, that's not how we're going to do it. They're waiting for that moment. I've had directors say, like, they've shut me down. They go, I don't want that. I go, then you're making a big mistake, man. If you don't do that, I said, that's what people are waiting for. One time I did a movie for John Lewis and I did the scenes the way he told me to, did all the parts. I got up, I left the door and I came back in and he goes, what in the hell was that? And I go, what? Did I miss the lines? And this is true. This is where this phrase started from. He says, what the hell was that? He goes, come on, Wynkoop it up. And Todd Sheets told me, he goes, Joel, he goes, that is the thing. Because he goes, I've been on other sets. I use it myself. And other filmmakers, they'll say to their actor, go Wynkoop. Go Wynkoop. Because they want the actor to jump out at you. And
right.
And when John told me that, he goes, now sit back down there and do it like Joel Wynkoop would. And I'm thinking, I'm Joel Wynkoop. So he said it, and I'm like, all right, we're doing it now. We're going to do it this way. I see you later. Yeah. And then I got up and I kicked open the guy that owned the house wasn't really happy that I kicked his door open, but I kicked the door open. I go, I'm going to Vegas, baby. And then I came back in the house and he's like, that's Joel Wynkoop. What was that shit you were giving me? So that a lot, because one guy, John Matheny told me that. He goes, my wife said, you should say this line. So I said it. I go, you guys are on crack. And John goes, I'm not using that line. I go, John, you're making a big mistake, man. You better leave that line in. That's going to get your laugh. And sure enough, my two brothers, the guys playing my brothers, are arguing. And I look at them and go, you guys are on crack. And that played in the festivals. Everybody laughed. That's what they wanted. So, yeah, I love to do a serious role. And people are okay with that, too, because I think I'm a semi-decent actor. But my roles are like when I want to jump out, like Dr. Robert Olson and Angus Lynch from Creep. And those guys that are just, busting out in your face. Or if it's a good guy like Steve Nakota, kicking ass and stuff. And Nick Hazard from The Bite. People want that. They're expecting that. And that's what I want to do. I want to make people happy. I want them to watch one of my movies and go, man, that was cool. And if you don't like it, that sucked. That's okay. You can't please everybody, and you shouldn't try, because it'll never happen.
Absolutely. And that's, like I said, that type of humbleness and, just being yourself and, trying to leave your mark with people that keep coming back to watching your stuff. So definitely hit him up for any of the films that he's been in. And, man, we'll have you back on in the future for sure, with some of your next projects. So
Rebirth, thank you so much, man. Yeah, I'm finishing up all this 187s and Doomsday stuff. Then I still have to finish Beast Mode. I had Lloyd Kaufman and Debbie, and not Lloyd Kaufman, things like, hi, I'm the weatherman, see you later. And then the filmmaker puts, starring Lloyd Kaufman. No, I got 7 big scenes with Lloyd and 7 or 8 big scenes with Debbie Rochon spread out throughout the movie. And then you can say, yeah, these people are in my movie, not, hi, the weather's going to rain, see them. And then they're not there no more. So that's Beast Mode. I had one for my wife, Onslaught, where she's going to get, fighting a bad guy and cut my head off because I play a maniac. She's
that's
trying to
fun.
save the damsels in distress. And so, yeah, keep doing that. I hope people keep watching them. And my main thing is to entertain. That's why I say, if you look at it and go, oh, I just had a review by some guys. They just completely chopped apart Law. They hated Lost Faith. And I don't even think they understood it, because they were like, this can't be serious movie. It's trying to be funny. And I'm going, it's supposed to be funny. You guys don't get it, obviously. So
that's
either way,
horror.
They were entertained. Yeah. Well, my thing is Monty Python. I like Monty Python and the Flying Circus. I like Fawlty Towers. Yeah, that's my humor. Jerry Lewis. All these slapstick things, even Abbott and Kyle. Hey, Abbott! All that stuff from back. That's my humor. And a lot of people are like, Fawlty Towers, they'll be like, that's stupid. Oh, to me, that's funny. My humor. My movie, my humor. You don't like it, go get another movie.
Understand it, and they get it. So thank you all out there in Three Witches Land for joining us tonight. I got a couple of really good interviews coming up next week. Don't forget about tomorrow night. We'll be doing The Shred. And then Sunday, my bad. New day, new time for Tracks from the Dam. So stay tuned to all the great Three Witches Entertainment shows that we got coming up this weekend. Thank you, Joel. It's been a fucking pleasure and just awesome to hear about your awesome career. But most importantly, when you're shoveling all that popcorn into your mouth and watching your favorite horror films, stay heavy.
And stay twisted!
Corpses rotting in this wasteland.